Hello and welcome to the Passion Vista Podcast, the platform where we celebrate extraordinary individuals who lead with heart, create with vision, and transform the world through their passion. I'm your host Neetu Singh Marwa. And today we're joined by someone working at the intersection of technology, trust, and leadership, Dr. Cordell Robinson, a cybersecurity expert, entrepreneur, and a strong voice in AI governance and digital responsibility. With over 2 decades of experience across cybersecurity, risk management, and emerging technologies, Dr. Robinson has built his career on a powerful belief that security is not just about protecting systems but about building trust and enabling progress. From serving as an intelligence analyst in the US Navy to leading global organizations through complex digital challenges, his journey reflects not just technical excellence but a deep commitment to ethical leadership and human centered thinking. In today's rapidly evolving digital world where innovation is constant but risks are growing, this conversation is more relevant than ever. Today, we explore how leadership, critical thinking, and responsibility come together to secure not just systems but the future itself. Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you at Passion Vista Podcast. And today we have joined with Dr. Cordell Robinson. A very warm welcome to you, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and thank you for having me. How about you? How are you doing today?
Absolutely great. I'm so honored that you've joined us from New York today. So would definitely like to know how's the weather, which is absolutely unpredictable always.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's like up and down. So some days are cool, and then it gets really warm, then it gets cool again. So just have to check the weather every morning before you step out. But it's been really nice, lately. So spring is kind of here, but there's some remnants of winter here and there.
Right, wonderful. So, Dr. Cordell, with over 2 decades of experience across cybersecurity, risk management, and emerging technologies, you've built your career on a powerful belief that security is not just about protecting systems but about building trust and enabling process. From serving as an intelligence analyst in the US Navy to leading global organizations through complex digital challenges, your journey reflects not just critical excellence but a deep commitment to ethical leadership and human centered thinking. So, we would love to explore your journey, and I would like to start and begin with your career in the US Navy, and later you transitioned into technology and cybersecurity. So, what first drew you towards this space, and how did those early experiences shape your approach to leadership today?
So when I went into the U.S. Navy, I just finished undergrad in computer science and electrical engineering, and I went in as an intelligence analyst, which I thought would be a very interesting job to do. And I was able to be stationed in Diego Garcia, which is in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and then next Rota, Spain, which was wonderful. And so I got to meet some amazing people, and I got to work on really unique systems doing intelligence. So I got exposed to, some very unique technologies, which I thought was really helpful for, my technical acumen. From there, after some years, I decided, okay, what is next for me? What do I want to do next? And I wasn't 100% sure. So when I left the United States Navy, I moved to Washington, D.C., and I got a job as a software engineer. And so I used my naval experience to do the software engineering work, but it wasn't fulfilling. Like I liked what I was doing, but it wasn't fulfilling. I was like, there's got to be another purpose. There has to be something else out there that really would fit what I'm trying to do with my career. Because I didn't want to just have a job. I wanted to build an actual career. And so I began to look up cybersecurity. It was called information technology at the time. And I began to read different books that were out on it. And from there, I went to my manager at the time, Darren Anthony, and he said, go for it, and which I thought was great and encouraging. And so I began to read along, really study. I took the CISSP exam, which was one of the first exams way back. This was back in 2002, so a very long time ago when it was still in its early stages. And once I finished that, I decided to go to law school like right after. So I went to law school, enrolled, and I thought it was interesting to learn about law, and it was at the beginning stages of information technology or IT period, being a part of the legal process, mostly privacy, but several other things. So once I graduated, I decided, okay, what am I going to do with my career? I don't want to be an attorney, and I still want to be in a technical field. And so what can I do with my career that would marry the two? And so looking at cyber as a whole, I saw that compliance, because there's lots of policy, deep written policies and procedures in it, I thought that I can build out a niche career in that area. And I thought that that would really catapult me to be able to have a very fun and sustainable career.
Oh, that's really wonderful. So, today, as technology is advancing faster than ever, but at the same time, risks are also increasing in digital security. So, do you feel organizations are truly prepared to handle digital risk, or are we still reacting rather than anticipating it?
So I would say that most organizations still are in reactive mode from my experience. They're always reacting to something. And because when I go to different organizations and I ask about their security posture, I ask about what their processes are, I ask about compliance, which, on the technical side, a lot of technical personnel don't believe compliance is real security when compliance is actually the umbrella to security. And so it's always, oh, well, nothing's happened yet, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I'm like, well, why would you wait till something happens then worry about it? It's just like insurance. You get insurance for the what if, because if you don't have insurance and something happens, it's going to cost you quite a bit. So you want to transfer the risk. You want to put some insurance in there, but the insurance will be, making sure that you're being proactive with your cybersecurity instead of reacting. And also on ROI, it's more expensive to react than to be proactive. So why not be proactive so that one, you have a peace of mind, and two, if something were to occur, you're ready for it. You're ready to tackle it in such a way that it's not going to be as catastrophic.
Indeed, indeed, I completely agree with you. So, as you often emphasize that cybersecurity is not just about systems and but people are still into a dilemma. So what do you think that many organizations still treat security as a technical issue rather than a shared responsibility?
Yes, I think that most organizations do treat it as a technical issue instead of a shared responsibility, because there's a lot of personnel in different organizations that are not technical people, but they still are operating technical systems. If you're logging into the organization's network and you're on their platform, you're on their technology. And so you learn your job, but do you understand the cybersecurity behind your job? So every role, no matter if it's HR, the CEO, CIO, CFO, CTO, engineers, data analysts, business analysts, attorneys, doctors. No matter what, there's technology involved in everyone's job. And so because of that, then I believe and know that there should be some type of cybersecurity attention for every single role, no matter what the role is. And ensuring that everyone understands their role and understands how the technology works, not a deep dive of it. They don't have to be experts because that's not really their job, but understanding how to protect their information is extremely important. It's just like how you protect your personal information in your personal life. It's the same thing that translates over to the company that you're at.
Yes, yes, indeed. I agree. That's really very important. So for someone outside the tech world, cybersecurity can feel very complex. So how would you explain the importance of cybersecurity in everyday life in a way anyone can understand?
So, for example, and I think people do it less and less because they use technology like their phones, but writing your password down. Don't write it down on a piece of paper and put it under your keyboard. I know there's some people that probably still do that. Don't give out your password because I would say, well, do you give out your code to your ATM card for your bank? Do you give out the password to your accounts to your bank, or do you give out any of your personal information freely, like your national ID number, which we call it Social Security number, date of birth, those sensitive data points? Do you just freely give that out to a perfect stranger? Most likely, the answer should be no, first of all.
Yeah.
And so if you don't do that, it's the same thing with the company's information. You don't want to just freely give out their intellectual property. So be very cognizant of that when you're not in technology, but you still understand that you should be safeguarding the information.
Yes, yes, yes. I completely, agree. In this era of increasing cyber fraud and cyber security, I think it is very essential that everyone is very much aware of how to handle your passwords. And also, I wanted to understand from you, doctor, that a lot of people say that your passwords should not only be difficult, but they should be case sensitive, uppercase, and you should use a lot of hashtag or special cases. So what do you recommend should be an ideal password that people should keep? Your guidance.
I would recommend a passphrase. So think of something that only you can think of, something that has nothing to do with your life, like your spouse or your kids or family members or anything that's really related to you, but something internal to you, and think of some type of passcode and make sure it's a long passcode of at least 18 characters, because anything at 17 characters and below can be hacked very quickly by a password cracker. So ensure that you have, a passphrase, upper, lowercase, special characters throughout that passphrase, 18 characters or more. And it also, because it's a passphrase, you should be able to remember it yourself rather easily, but no one else knows what that passphrase is because you don't say it out loud.
Indeed, I completely agree. I handle so many accounts together, and it's like always I have to remember the passwords and the passcodes which I keep are so like, oh my god, so niche, and sometimes I go crazy to keep changing them for security indeed, because our banks, they recommend us to keep changing it very often, once a month, for the cybersecurity reasons. Yes. So your work in AI governance is especially relevant today, with AI becoming more integrated into our lives. What are some risks people and organizations are not paying enough attention to it right now? What do you think about it?
I would say a lot of the risks that a lot of organizations, especially C-level executives, aren't thinking about the sensitivity of the data that they're putting out there into AI, especially with OpenAI. OpenAI is not secure because that's why it's called OpenAI. And so putting in your personal information, tax information, company intellectual property information into AI isn't necessary to be able to get the job done. You can be vague and still be able to get the output that you need, and then you can add in the sensitive information after you get the output. With AI, a lot of people think that it's a huge major shortcut, and it can be and it should be a shortcut, but you still have to put in the work. You still have to think about what prompts you're telling the AI so that you can get the output that you want, but ensuring that the data still isn't sensitive, and understanding that you want to leave those areas open so that you can insert the sensitive data later. And then that way you're protecting yourself, your company's intellectual property, and it's not out there just within the AI ether where someone else can do a search. And because, especially LLMs, they're learning, agents are gathering data and scraping the internet, and everything that we put in is being saved in these different AI server farms all over the world. So I say, be very cognizant of that. Use AI responsibly and use it ethically, and you can still get the job done. And just understand, train yourself so that you're not putting the sensitive data in there.
Correct. So you've led teams in highly complex environments. What does effective leadership looks like in high risk, high pressure situations like cybersecurity?
So effective leadership looks like someone that one takes accountability. So the buck stops at the leader. So if something was to occur, the leader should take full responsibility, and then later on have some training with whomever the personnel were that made the mistakes, and to ensure that they become up to par. Of course, there's consequences to making mistakes, so if that person's continuously making a mistake over and over, unfortunately, it's not the right fit for them. But as a leader, ensuring that you take responsibility, do not point the finger at someone else, but say, okay, what can I do better to make sure that my team is successful and flourish? So if that means extra training, if that means showing by example, or if that means, changing personnel around. It's those tough decisions that you have to make, and having those tough conversations that makes an effective leader, and also ensuring that, you take accountability for everything as a leader. Because when your personnel that work for you, when they see that, that's a good barometer and example for them to follow as well as they climb up the ranks.
I agree with you. Absolutely. That's very important that a leader has to take the leadership and needs to guide the team equally to ensure that the job is error free but simultaneously done perfectly.
Yes.
So, in your journey, you've also spoken about overthinking as a challenge. So, do you balance deep analysis with the need to make clear, timely decisions?
I do. So I've been working on that quite a bit because I am an analyst by nature. I analyze everything from, when I get up in the morning to do a workout, and I analyze, okay, I'm going to do this today. How am I going to do it? What am I going to do first? Next, I just go through this whole thing, even though I have it written down. But I always go back and remember early days in the technology field where I was always told, figure out a way to simplify. If you figure out the way to simplify, because things can be complex, but also the same thing could be extremely simple as well. You just have to use that critical thinking. So I've been working on that and using my critical thinking to simplify things. And then that way I'm not in my head constantly going through all of these, very, complex, crazy things. And I just, once I simplify it, I'm more relaxed. I'm not stressed about it. And then I can get a lot more done.
Yes, 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 yes. Absolutely agreed on that. So you worked across industries like aviation, finance, and healthcare. What is one common mistake organizations make when it comes to managing risk?
One mistake, and I think just about every organization, their mistake is to managing risk is not paying attention to the people as much. And when I say that, currently there's like cyber, everyone takes like a cybersecurity awareness training at least once a year, which is wonderful. But and then there's organizations that have phishing exercises like monthly or quarterly, which is great. But included in that or not included in that I've noticed and seen is there's a lack of social engineering exercises. And what I mean by that is not just social engineering from a phishing exercise, but a live social engineering where you have someone act as if, they are a part of the organization and not just them calling you on the phone because it's easy to be like, oh, but when someone is physically in your face talking to you, it's a little bit different energy. And so have them, and it takes a little bit of time. It's not like, in a couple hours, I mean, it could be, but in a couple hours, they can just get a lot of information. But like have them, you warm up to them and, build some type of trust, and then see how much information you can get out of that person. But also another social engineering aspect is like I've sat out at restaurants or just been out in public, and I'm always paying attention to my surroundings. I'm always listening to like different conversations here and there. Like, I mean, the interesting ones. Don't listen to everything, but the interesting ones. And some of the very interesting ones, people are giving away so much information. I'm like, wow, you're in public and you're giving away quite a bit of information, and you don't realize who may be around you, who could be hearing that conversation. I mean, you never know.
You
So
never
it's
know,
like
correct?
be aware of that because, I mean, when you're in public, anyone could be around you. So, it you know, be careful. And that I think that will be one test as well is have, someone go out and be in the same, that like, a group goes to lunch and have someone go out, and they show up to the same place and they sit a few tables over and then they listen to the conversations that are going on to see if they're talking too much about, companies' intellectual property or too much about personnel at the company because, if you are, maybe at a lower voice or don't at all and do it in the privacy of a non-public space. And so I think those type of tests should be done because I've just heard way too many conversations where I'm like, I don't think I should be hearing this much information. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, you can catch it very easily because you're a pro at it.
Yes.
Indeed, indeed. So, in a digital world where data breaches and risks are common, how can organizations build and maintain trust with people?
I think organizations can build and maintain trust with people by one, making sure all their personnel is trained, and then two, showing that their security posture, their compliance, the entire umbrella from beginning to end is very solid. So, one, when you have those like you can really do it in a conversation. When you're having a conversation with someone at a company and you're trying to do business with them, you can really, if you really pay attention and critically think, you can tell how strong their security posture is with how they're framing their conversation, what they're saying and not saying, and how they're actually really following their processes. that they say that they have in place just by a conversation if you really, pay attention. Because there's a big difference. I've been in organizations where it wasn't so much, and some organizations where the processes were really strong and their compliance all over was extremely strong.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, looking ahead, how do you see the future of cybersecurity and leadership evolving in next 5 to 10 years?
I think because of the emergence of AI, it's going to be a big shift and change in leadership and in leadership styles. I think that a lot of leaders are going to have to really be cognizant of the major use of AI, which I think is happening already, and understand how to effectively lead in the world of AI and also coach as well. So I say take lots of training now because within 5 years you would need to have those skill sets to lead your people because the younger ones coming up, like that's what they're using, and so they're going to be experts at it. So you as a leader need to have quite a bit of knowledge with it so that one, you can lead by example, and two, you can speak the same language. And when you can speak the same language as the personnel working for you, it is a lot safer feeling and more comfortable environment for everyone. So yeah, within 5 years, I think many leaders will be very AI centric as the technology is like advancing. I think many leaders will understand how managing teams in a more collaborative manner. It hasn't been, but I'm seeing the shift that it's becoming in a more collaborative, but lead by example era that we're entering. And I say let's continue down that path.
Wonderful. So, Dr. Robinson, you are also a great philanthropist. So, we would love to hear about the great work that you've been doing.
Yes, so I have an orphanage in Arusha, Tanzania. Well, I have kids there where they go to school, and beyond school, they also take classes at the orphanage on the evenings and weekends. So they learn, how to basic cleaning, washing dishes and washing their own dishes and cleaning their rooms and folding clothes, folding sheets. And then they also learn gardening, how to grow their own food. When there's plumbing issues, the plumber comes over and we have the kids watch them and the plumber explains, what's going on. And then we have, professionals show them like electrical and just different handy skills that you would need in life that one helps you save money if you know how to do it yourself, and two helps you be able to sustain and be self-sufficient, because the more that you're self-sufficient beyond academia, the more well-rounded and easier life is when you are self-sufficient. And when you add the layer of academia on there, it really helps you navigate this very tough world. So that's my main focus there. The goal, and it's going to take a little bit of time, is to start a very unique school where it's going to be focused on kids learning academia, including lots of history, because history is extremely important. When you know your history, you know how to operate in today's world. And then also, of course, life skills, really digging deep into those life skills. And so it'll be a very unique curriculum, but I think it will be very advantageous. And also there will be travel involved, because I also noticed personally, even in my life, once I began to really travel and see the world more, it opened my mind to many different perspectives and many different thought processes. So when I encounter different people from different places, different cultures, I understand, and I'm not prejudging. I'm not assuming from what I'm told or what media may say. It is, I've experienced this myself. So I know and I understand. So including travel in that for the kids is going to be very important too. So they're exposed because the more exposed you are to different elements in the world and different cultures and different environments, the more well-rounded you are. And also it helps you become a strong critical thinker. And then the last thing would be we will have specific critical thinking exercises and classes because I believe that when you are a strong critical thinker, you are way ahead of so many people that decide not to practice that skill set.
That's really wonderful and thoughtful of you. You've been very kind, and I think you are doing a very generous work as it's a message to all humans. I mean, that even if everybody plans to make one difference in a child, I think the next generation will be very, very beautiful and very, very thoughtful and alert, and will be more empathetic towards everyone and doing a great work. So I would like to know more about the great work you've been doing. How many children are there in the orphanage?
So right now we're very small. So it's five children right now, ages 5 to 8 years old. So we wanted to start off small and over time grow, but we want to really focus on them and really be able to make sure that there's plenty of time spent with them. And so I think that's a good age because five just starting the first part of school, being immersed with other kids and learning and having a different environment. And then the 8-year-olds, they're a little bit older, so they can kind of help learn to be leaders at a young age because they're leading the 5-year-olds. And so learning those leadership skills at a young age so that as they grow, the others become leaders, and you just keep it moving forward. And I think it's really important to be able to do that because no one's too young to learn. So if you instill learning of different facets into children at a young age, as they grow, they have that information and they gain those skills early, and they become extremely successful, and also they become extremely important to this world because they're the ones that will be able to step out there and make great changes and great advancements, which we always want to do is continue to evolve and advance.
Indeed, I completely agree, and we and Passion Vista team wishes you all the very best to the great work, and salutes to the amazing work that you've been doing through your trust. That's really amazing, and we wish you that may this expand more, and more children can get education and literacy about how to live life in the best way, which you're already doing.
Thank you so much.
So before we end our podcast, I have a last question for you, that if someone listening today wants to grow as a leader in an uncertain and fast changing world, what is the one mindset or principle you would encourage them to adopt?
I would say if someone is looking into being a leader, the mindset would be to do it. Just go ahead and act upon it. If you do not take action, there's nothing.
There.
So you have to take the action. You have to step out there and understand that nothing's going to go exactly the way that you want it. There's going to be obstacles. You're going to make mistakes, and it's okay, because the mistakes are actually the most important part, because the mistakes are learned lessons that will make you better. And also understand that timing is very important, and understand that it's okay, with walking away from negotiations. It's okay with delays. It's okay because it will help you become a very effective leader by understanding that you have to go through the fire to be able to effectively lead. And taking the action is just the first step. And once you take that action and you just keep going, you will see results. And before you know it, there will be so many different results. It's almost like when you plant a seed and you don't see anything, and then months later you begin to see the seedling grow, and then it becomes a vegetable or a fruit or a tree. It's the same thing in life, especially as a leader. Plant those seeds, take those actions, and the fruit, it will bear fruit eventually. And you just got to keep going. And I say keep going.
Wonderful, wonderful, and very thoughtful message, I would say, is for your viewers. So, Dr. Robinson, thank you for sharing such valuable and thought-provoking insights with us today. Your journey reminds us that true leadership is not just about staying ahead of change, but about navigating it with clarity, responsibility, and integrity. Thank you so much for your thoughtful words today, Dr. Robinson.
Yes, and thank you. And thank you so much for having me. This has been wonderful to be able to have this great discussion.
Wonderful. And to our listeners, perhaps the most important takeaway from today's conversation is, in a world driven by technology, trust becomes our most valuable asset, and it is built through awareness, accountability, and informed decision making. Whether you are a leader, a professional, or simply someone navigating this digital world, remember, the choices we make today shape the systems and trust of tomorrow. So stay tuned at Passion Vista Podcast. This is me, Neetu Singh, signing off. With every story is a spark, and every journey is a path to purpose. Until next time, stay aligned, stay present, and keep leading from within.